Estamos en vivo.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us today in this webinar on opportunities of USMCA for Kansas and Missouri. My name is Alfonso Navarro. I'm the head consul of Mexico in Kansas City, Missouri. I represent Mexico in the state of Kansas and in the state of Missouri, as well as in the western part of Oklahoma. Before introducing Minister Gerardo Alameda, our speaker today, allow me some remarks regarding the efforts of Mexico to foster productive relations with Canada and the United States, and the relevance of local and state stakeholders in preserving our North American partnership. The future of free trade between Mexico, the United States, and Canada will certainly be cemented not only in its considerable amount of commercial transactions, the scale of its supply chains, and the growing understanding among the three countries' economic stakeholders. It will also be possible due to the fact that the governments of each North American partner remain resolute in fostering the advancement of this region as the most competitive in the world, even in the midst of a once-in-a-life pandemic. Speaking from the White House Rose Garden during his visit to Washington, D.C. on July 8th, Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador pointed out that in 1970, North America constituted 40% of the world's gross domestic product, whereas today, the region's share in the global GDP has reduced to less than 30%. With a network of 50 consular offices across the United States, Mexico has been active the last 3 years in promoting both its importance as a reliable partner in North America, as well as the need to keep building on the success story that NAFTA has represented since 1994. As recently as last June, with some regions and sectors in the United States beginning to reopen, while most activities in Mexico remain shut down, our countries were faced with the need of identifying, aligning, and agreeing upon how to keep running highly integrated industries, like the automobile sector and manufacturers of medical and personal protection equipment. We also had to find a precise balance between preserving the flow of essential goods through our common border while limiting non-essential travel to avoid COVID-19 propagation. Underscoring the importance of our common relation, Mexico has been fortunate in strengthening and establishing relations with federal representatives, state legislators, governors, chambers of commerce, industries, businesses, and the civil societies in Kansas and Missouri. It has not been an easy task, though. I personally remember April 2017, weeks before the official start of NAFTA renegotiations, when ag producers in the heartland asked me whether they were at risk of losing their share in Mexico's export market to Argentina or Brazil due to perspectives of possible denouncement of the North American trade agreement. Talk on tariffs and trade negotiations, as well as their impact in the daily life of Kansas and Missourians, open up new outreach opportunities like the annual visit, 3 years in a row now, of Kansas Corn Academy students and faculty to the Consulate of Mexico in Kansas City, where I have been honored to discuss those issues with future ag professionals interested in learning more about how Mexico and the United States trade and produce together. Now that USMCA has entered into force, the diplomatic and consular network of Mexico in North America has teamed up with Secretaría de Economía, the Mexican Secretariat of Economy, to convey a clear and compelling message through the diverse economic regions of the US and Canada. Beyond the outcome of our trade negotiations, local stakeholders should rest assured that certainty, including a robust dispute resolution mechanism, will be the main trait of our new agreement, and that the greater competitiveness and new opportunities for workers, manufacturers, small and medium businesses, industries, and underrepresented groups in our countries will come along. USMCA or T-MEC, as we call it in Mexico, is the result of a complex yet rich process of negotiations. For instance, when the opportunity arose, both Governor Laura Kelly of Kansas and Governor Mike Parson of Missouri urged their respective congressional delegations to pass this new North American agreement to preserve the economic vitality of key sectors, agriculture, transportation, and airspace industries, among others, where a combined 130,000 plus jobs in both states are supported by trade with Mexico. At local level, stakeholders all across the board in Wichita, St. Louis, and Kansas City remain very attentive of the trilateral negotiations, greatly because between 2005 and 2017, the Wichita metro area, for instance, supplied an average of 42% of all Kansas exports under NAFTA. And in other example, on the same period of time, 2005 to 2017, the greater Kansas City area grew 61% exports during the same period. Productive, mutually beneficial relationship between national, regional, and local economies is where the fundamentals of our North American partnership are robustly cemented. To further discuss what the future of USMCA brings to Kansas and Missouri and Western Oklahoma, and to examine the first weeks of the new trade relationship in North America, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce Minister Gerardo Alameda. Gerardo Alameda was appointed as the head of the Trade Office of the Ministry of Economy in Washington, D.C. in June 2019. Prior to his appointment, Gerardo was the International Affairs Manager at Tenaris, Mexico. He has also held the position of Manager for Market Access and Industrial Competitiveness at Tenaris, Argentina. Mr. Alameda served as Deputy Director of the International Trade Negotiations Unit at Secretariat of Commerce and Industrial Development in 1992, where he was part of multiple trade negotiations. Gerardo holds a degree in economics from the University of the Americas, Puebla, Mexico, and a master's degree in business administration from the Catholic University of Argentina. Minister Alameda, it is great to have you along today. Welcome, and look forward for a very productive session today. Welcome again.
Gracias, Alfonso. Buenos días. Hello to everybody. Good morning. I hope you all are doing well and healthy. It is a great honor to participate on this webinar this morning. It is important for us to share with you which are the best benefits and the opportunities that the USMCA offers to Mexico and to the region. So we're going to share a presentation. So please, Pedro, go ahead. Thank you. Okay. I would like to start answering one question. Why is the USMCA important? And the USMCA is a trade integration and competitiveness agreement that establishes rules and provisions to manage and promote trade and investment in North America. USMCA sets common regulatory standards for the region that strengthen the economic relationship among the three countries. In this chart, we can show you that 34 chapters of the USMCA. In red color, you can see that 24 chapters of the original NAFTA, which now they are modernized and updated. And in green color, you can see that 10 new whole chapters of the USMCA. And with this chart, we can show the difference between the NAFTA and the USMCA. The main new chapters in USMCA are digital trade and e-commerce, labor, environment, small and medium-sized enterprises, competitiveness, and anti-corruption. So this whole set of new rules provide certainty and clear rules to the region, maintains free trade, and preserves North American integration. The next one, please. So from NAFTA to the USMCA, we can assure a deeper integration among the three partners. So this is not only a trade agreement, it's a competitiveness and integrational agreement. So we have regional competitiveness, we have inclusive and responsible trade, certainty in trade and investments. We have this whole new package of dispute settlement mechanism, state-to-state, investor-state mechanisms as well, and remedy law, trade remedy laws. And we have opportunities to the 21st century, like intellectual property, digital trade and e-commerce, and financial services. The automotive origin regime has key elements. As you know, one of the key factors of the USMCA is the modernization of the automotive sector. So we have a set new rules of origin that the producers of auto and auto parts have to comply. For instance, they have to comply with the 40% of labor value content. They have new procedures in regional value content as well, in core parts, and they have to comply as well in 70% of steel and aluminum that has to be melt and pour in the region. The next one, please. On July 8th, President López Obrador, as Alfonso Navarro just pointed out, he visited DC and met President Trump to reaffirm Mexico's commitment toward the USMCA and the future of North American economic integration. And I would like to share a few comments here. Why is Mexico important for the North American trade partnership? Mexico is a key factor for the competitiveness of the regional value chains. Mexico is part of this infrastructure and logistic network synchronized with North America. It has a strategic geographic location with access to 50 countries on which we have free trade agreements. So we have this network of partners with free trade agreements. We have a broad multi-sectoral supply chain platform that we have built during these 26 years of integration with NAFTA. And we have a great potential to replace trade from other regions of the world. So NAFTA created one of the most competitive and dynamic regions in the world. We have a population of almost 500 million people. We have a GDP of $26 trillion combined. We have foreign direct investment flows of over $320 billion per year. And in trade, we have $6 trillion. The intra-trade within the USMCA partners and countries, it is above $1.2 trillion too. The next one, please. This chart, we can see how significant has been the foreign direct investment flows under NAFTA. Mexico in 1999 received $14 billion per year, and now it has $589 billion. The next one, please. And NAFTA trade is the same. It has grown exponentially. The average annual growth is 7.5% annually. So you can see on this chart how Mexico trade with NAFTA has exponentially grown. The next one, please. So over these 26 years, Mexico has become the US top trading partner. In 2019, Mexico surpassed China and Canada in being the top trading partner of the US. Here are the chart. So here in this data, Mexico and Canada are almost in the same amount of trade with the US. Then China is third, and Japan and Germany fourth and fifth, respectively. The next one, please. So we produce together to compete globally. This is a good phrase to demonstrate the importance of NAFTA and the USMCA. The Mexico exports to the US is focused mainly in manufacturing products as cars, computers, auto parts, trucks, and all products with high value added. And the exports to Mexico are the same in manufacturing because we are integrated economies. So we exchange inputs and we exchange production in order to trade final products. So we also import from the US auto parts, computers, shipments, integrated circuits, and so on. The next one, please. Thank you. And the agricultural sector is one of the most success stories during these 26 years. In 2019, the US and Mexico traded over $48 billion in agricultural goods. So Mexico became the top partner and trader of agricultural products with the US, surpassing Canada and China. And this is a very relevant map that we are showing here. In this map, we show which are the largest export states to Mexico. So Mexico is the top export destiny to 7 US states: California, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Louisiana, Kansas, and Nebraska. For these 7 states, Mexico is the main destiny of their exports. But we have also 19 states on which Mexico is the second largest export market. And Oklahoma and Missouri are included in these states on which Mexico is the second largest export market. And there are 3 other states on which Mexico is the third export market. So 29 states of the US, Mexico is one of the top 3 destinations to their exports. So this is very relevant. The next one. I would like to share with you why the USMCA is important for Mexico. USMCA is a continuity of previous trade policies and free trade agreements. Mexican economy is highly integrated to North America. Canada and the US represent over 70% of Mexico's total trade. Almost 50% of foreign direct investment comes from North America, and almost 70% of total tourists in Mexico come from Canada and the US. And also over 40 million people lives in North America. So this is why the USMCA is very important for Mexico, and it also provides macroeconomic stability and certainty for trade and investments. Mexico is a partner and ally to Kansas, Missouri, and Oklahoma. The jobs supported by trade with Mexico in Kansas are almost 50,000. These are figures of 2017. So I'm sure that if we update this information, the numbers will increase significantly. The exports to Mexico from Kansas account for $2.2 billion, which means 19% of Kansas total exports. And imports from Mexico are 7% of Kansas total imports. In the case of Missouri, almost 100,000 jobs are supported by trade with Mexico, which means 2.3 billion. And Mexico accounts for almost 20% of Missouri's total exports. And with Oklahoma, there are more than 50,000 jobs supported by trade with Mexico. It's also close to 1 billion exports, and it is accounting for 7% of its total exports to Mexico. The next one, please. Mexico-Kansas trade accounts for $3 billion and support regional supply chains specialized in vehicles, electronics, and agricultural sector. In these charts, we describe and we enlist the main products that Mexico exports to Kansas, like aircraft parts. Can you go back? Thank you. Electric switches, machinery, all of those mainly are manufacturing goods. And in the other hand, Kansas exports to Mexico agricultural products. You can see there are a lot of grains, soybeans, wheat, corn, but also we have manufacturing goods as aircraft parts and engines. The next one, please. In the case of Missouri, the trade accounts between the two countries in 5.7 billion and support as well regional supply chains specialized in automotive, machinery, electronics, and agricultural products. In the case of Mexico, electric motors, auto part, tractors, and the same manufacturing goods with highly value added are mainly exported from Mexico to Missouri. And in the case of Missouri, they export mainly agricultural products and manufacturing goods as well, related to automotive sector. The next one, please. In the case of Oklahoma, the trade accounts for over 1.5 billion and also supplies regional supply chains focused in machinery, automotive sector as well, chemical sector, and agro industry. And Mexico exports to Oklahoma mainly manufacturing as well, navigational instruments like GPS, auto parts, tractors, televisions, and machines. And Oklahoma, besides exporting agricultural products too, it also exports auto parts and other manufacturing goods. The next one, please. Exports from Kansas and Missouri's top metropolitan areas rely on Mexico. So San Luis and Kansas City exports to Mexico over 3 billion. And it has a share of 70% combined. And it has shown a huge growth since 2005 of 70% considering San Luis and 57% we consider Kansas City. The next one, please. Why choose Mexico? As I mentioned before, Mexico has 13 free trade agreements with 40, well, including Canada and the US, including the USMCA. Mexico has 13 free trade agreements with 50 countries. And this network of free trade agreements connect the Mexican economy to more than 1.3 billion consumers, which represent 60% of world's GDP. Mexico is the 7th largest exporter in the world and first in Latin America. Next one, please. Mexico offers a solid infrastructure and logistic network. According to the World Economic Forum, Mexico ranks among the top 30% countries with best transportation infrastructure. 172 kilometers in road, 27,000 kilometers in railway tracks, 117 ports, and 76 airports, 74 international. The next one, please. Mexico has a strategic location, geographical location, and competitive logistic costs. In comparison with China, we have low shipping costs. For China is $140 per square meter and cubic meter, sorry. And Mexico is only $9. The maritime days to selected destinations, for instance, York, it only takes 5 days. China 32, India 25, Brazil 15, and South Korea 21. So this gives us a great comparative advantage on lead times. Los Angeles for Mexico takes 4 days, China 18, India 31, and so on. Rotterdam in Europe, the main port of Europe, in Netherlands, for Mexico takes 16 days to arrive, any shipment. And China doubled this time, India 20 days, Brazil 17, and South Korea 33. And the main port in Japan, Yokohama, which Mexico has a free trade agreement to, it only takes 19 days. And China 4 days, and India 17 days. So we have more than 50 ports of entry between the US and Mexico. The next one, please. Mexico has a diverse and innovative industrial platform with more than 2/3 of its exports in highly complex sectors. Mexico ranks as the 19th most complex economy. Our most comparative advantage is located in vehicles, machinery, electronics, agriculture, services, minerals, textiles, chemicals, metals, and stone. The next one, please. Mexico leads in manufacturing production, became the 6th largest world producer of vehicles in 2019, and ranked 4th as exporter worldwide in 2018. It is the 6th largest supplier of aircraft parts to the US. It is the 6th largest exporter of information technology services, and is the 8th largest exporter of medical devices worldwide. So this shows the enormous potential of growth that Mexico has to better integrate and to strengthen its supply chain and value chains with North America. The next one, please. We have a competitive and cost-effective manufacturing sector. We have a global manufacturing cost competitiveness index. We have 86 points on this index. The next one, please. We have a huge internet connectivity and broadband access supports in the digital economy. So Mexico is 3rd in mobile broadband subscription within OECD countries. After the US and Japan, Mexico is number 3rd. We have a 74% of mobile penetration rate, 17% of annual growth in the past 5 years, and we have 92 million mobile broadband subscribers. The next one. We have a young, competitive, and skilled workforce. Economically active population in Mexico by age is pretty young. We have 45% between 30 and 49 years, and 22% in the 20s. And we have a share of graduates from engineering programs in a very good ratio. 17% of total graduates come from engineering, which surpasses very relevant countries as India, Brazil, South Africa, and Indonesia. The next one, please. So what are the USMCA challenges and opportunities? So we have been working very closely and in a coordinated way with Canada and the US to define protocols and conditions to allow transition towards reopening productive activities for the COVID-19. So one of the biggest challenges that we currently face is the COVID-19 pandemic and the economic crisis that this pandemic is producing. We are coordinating border crossings to secure health, and also under these circumstances, we continue to implement the USMCA. The next one, please. USMCA will be a key factor in the economic recovery of the three countries, as it will contribute to relocate, nearshore, and decouple value chains to rebuild resilient global and regional value chains. So this is an opportunity that offers the USMCA. With this, I finish this presentation. I hope it is productive and useful for you to be better informed and to do business with Mexico. I want to thank again Consul Alfonso Navarro for this opportunity to address some messages and to share ideas and some benefits and opportunities that the USMCA provide to North America, to the region. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Gerardo Alameda, head of the Office of the Ministry of Economy of Mexico in Washington, D.C., for this presentation. As we promoted this event, we asked our people following this broadcast and the previous promotion that they were free to submit some questions online. And there are some questions that we have for this presentation. Mr. Alameda, we will try to cover all ground, and in case that we are not able to do that, we will certainly reply by mail. And it's my understanding that also through the Facebook live transmission of the Ministry of Economy in Mexico, Secretaría de Economía, then they are also in position to answer some questions that are being posted online. But let's get to the first question. So the first question is: are there new opportunities for companies offering digital services under the USMCA?
Thank you, Alfonso, for this very important question. And yes, the USMCA provides a modern regulatory framework for businesses to take advantage of the latest trends in the digital economy. I want to talk about three provisions that will open business opportunities for digital trade in North America. First, the ban on data localization will make it easier for companies within North America to provide their services across the region, regardless of their location, reducing infrastructure and other variable costs. And moreover, zero duties and fees for cross-border trade in digital products such as software, music, games, multimedia, ebooks, among others, will reduce price distortions and increase trade flows. And third, protections against disclosure of software source code and algorithms to import, distribute, sell, or use software will give certainty to business and promote innovation. So this chapter of intellectual property rights is pretty important in this sector. So with the liberalization of digital trade, the USMCA opened opportunities for Mexican firms to provide digital services and sell digital products on the growing Hispanic community in the US. And it will also provide and promote joint venture between the US-based and Mexico-based technology firms to be more competitive in creating digital content for many industries. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alameda. And certainly, it's, as you mentioned in your presentation, digital services and the digital economy, one of the new disciplines within the USMCA. And I remember that, for instance, some experts mentioned that back in 1994, when NAFTA entered into force, there were no cell phones, or there were no electronic trade, or any those transactions that after 25, 26 years, has been present nowadays in our daily life. Now, there's another question regarding a very, very important sector of the North American economy and certainly for the economy of Mexico. And the question is, what are the main challenges that the auto industry is facing regarding the new rules of origin?
Thank you, Consul Navarro. This is a very important question for a very strategic sector. The USMCA brings a historic opportunity for North America to develop stronger and more integrated and competitive regional chains, especially in the auto sector. The new provisions that the USMCA offers are designed to ensure that the benefits of the trade remain in North America and are shared broadly across our nations. The new rules of origin in the USMCA are very strict and are very tough, but they have a purpose, and the purpose is to deepen the integration and deepen the supply chains among the three industries. So the automotive sector consider an increase in the regional value content to reach 75% for light vehicles and 70% for trucks. And with at least 40% of the vehicle content produced in the region should be under a wage rate of $16 per hour. And 70% of the steel produced in the car should be melt and pour totally in North America. So in this sense, the three governments and the three industries are working closely to make sure that companies are able to comply with these regional value content requirements. The three governments already have published the alternative staging regimes procedures, which are mechanisms that provide auto companies the opportunities to submit 5-year transition plans in order to comply with the rules of origin. And the objective is to have a commitment from the companies to develop investment plans, new operations, and relocate plans from other regions to North America. Thank you.
Thank you. And then there's another question also regarding small and medium-sized businesses. The question is, what benefits does the USMCA bring for small and medium-sized businesses?
Thank you. This is a very important question as well. I just want to mention first that one of the top objectives of the USMCA is to make sure that North America constitutes the most dynamic region in the world in terms of competitiveness, in terms of economic growth, in terms of trade, technology, financial services, and the USMCA is a good tool to achieve this. And we know that the engine of our three economies is focused in the small and medium-sized enterprises. So that's the reason why we are giving that importance to the SMEs, and that is why the three countries agreed to establish a whole new chapter on SMEs. So we are focusing our strategy of economic development and the implementation of the USMCA in the SMEs. We enhance competitiveness and job creation in North America by recognizing the importance of the SMEs in the three countries. The USMCA contains specific provisions to increase trade and investment opportunities by supporting infrastructure such as incubators, accelerators, and exports assistance centers. We are enhancing greater collaboration to promote SMEs owned by minority groups. We are exchanging best practices between the parties to improve SMEs' access to capital and credit. And we are creating web tools to help SMEs to understand the benefits of the agreement with useful information for doing business across the region. So we have a common platform for cooperation and information sharing to successfully incorporate SMEs into the regional supply chains. The USMCA creates a committee on SME issues and launches an ongoing trilateral SME dialogue with the stakeholders to help ensure that SMEs continue to benefit from the agreement. Thank you.
Okay, that was with regard SMEs, very important also new chapter, and I guess it's going to be crucial for the North American recovery in the post-COVID economic outlook. Now, there's a question regarding China-US relations, and the question is, how will the current China-US relations affect trade in the North American region?
Right. This is a relevant question to put things into perspective and to understand the context that we are facing, that we are living. The current trade situation between US and China has reduced significantly the US imports from China to the US. As you all know, US has imposed tariffs on over 370 billion Chinese products. And this situation has not only affected trade between US and China, it has also affected the whole multilateral trade system. And companies across all industries are rethinking the location of their supply chain from Asia back to North America. And additionally, the COVID-19 pandemic disruption on supply chains has reinforced the view and the possibility of relocating new supply chains to North America and put these producers and this regional chain closer to consumption centers. So this whole thing, this context offers an opportunity, a historic opportunity to Mexico, to North America, to enhance the integration of supply chains in North America and make the three countries, Canada, Mexico, and North America, attractive destination to relocate a large number of industries, particularly those in which Mexico and Canada and the US have comparative advantages. The Ministry of Economy has identified specific sectors and will promote them within the coming weeks. We are going to have some other road shows like this one in order to promote investment, to promote trade and integration within the region. Thank you.
Thank you. That's, as you mentioned, a very relevant topic of conversation, and particularly given the fact that trade talks right now in the world are very fluid, and also they comprise and also certainly a factor of uncertainty, if you will. Now, there's the next question is regarding a very, very important sector of the economy here in the heartland, in Kansas, Missouri, and Western Oklahoma. And it refers to the agricultural sector. And the question is, how has the agricultural sector benefited from trade integration, and what are the expectations under USMCA?
Thank you also for this question on this very relevant sector as well. Agro sector is one of the most success stories during NAFTA, and we are sure that it will continue having this significant between 1993 and 2018, the agricultural goods increased almost 8 times as a result of trade liberalization and the comparative advantages of both countries. We complement each other, and we take advantage of the structure, the productive structure, and the season advantages that each country has. and we complement our trade and our productive facilities. Agricultural exports to Mexico support many communities, and today Mexico is the first, second, and third largest agricultural export market for 32 states, and is the first destiny for agricultural exports of the US. Under NAFTA, American farmers increased their exports to Mexico by almost 500%, and USMCA expands market access for agricultural products as it preserves tariff-free market access to agricultural products as well. So the USMCA reaffirms the commitment to eliminate export subsidies, ensures non-discriminatory treatment for seasonal products, and improves food safety standards. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's with regards to the questions that we were able to identify with the help of the team of the Secretary of Economy regarding this webinar. And before, and I guess, given this outlook, Minister Lameda, and given the questions that that you have already answered, I don't know if there's something additional information that you may wish to add regarding those topics, and particularly the specific situation of our trade partners and friends here in Kansas, Missouri, and Western Oklahoma.
Thank you, Consul. Well, I just want to continue inviting all the business community to work closely in a coordinated way with us, to reach us and to search for information, any request, any consultation they could have. We have an export assistance center that is called Consulta T-MEC. Pedro, can you put the slide that shows the Consulta T-MEC information? And we are open to receive any request, any question, any comment, and we will be happy to assist you. It is really important in these times to continue working as we have been working in the 26 past years with NAFTA. The USMCA is the best trade tool that we have to overcome the economic crisis that we are living with this pandemic. And now we have to continue working in this new agenda of increasing the regional content of our trade, of deepening trade relations, and to develop the value chains and the regional chains and the supply chains among the three countries. I don't know if we have the information about the Export Assistance Center. Here it comes. So here it is. I don't know if you can read, but there is the email in the US, an email in Canada, and an email in Mexico, on which we are very happy to assist you, to receive all the comments and questions you may have. So we're going to send you more information, Consul, so you can help us to share with all the people that are participating on this webinar to have access to this information. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this information. It's also encouraging to see that we are using this platform, this center for USMCA T-MEC assistance, and for not only for Mexican producers and exporters, but certainly for all of our North American partners. And so before closing, and maybe you have an additional final message, Minister Lameda. But before closing, just a quick note to recognize your work, the work of your team, We've been in contact, facilitating and preparing this webinar for focus on Kansas, Missouri, and Western Oklahoma since last May. This is a very relevant effort from the team in the Ministry of Economy, both in Mexico City, central headquarters, and the Office of Secretary of Economy in Washington, D.C. I want to thank you for that effort, particularly for we've been working as a Team Mexico, if you will, Equipo Mexico, and the idea is precisely to keep building on the strengths and the success story that NAFTA has signified since 1994, and particularly after all these good practices and lessons learned, we were able to overcome a very difficult scenario back in 2017, and particularly to emerge in a very robust position to keep USMCA going, as I mentioned before, even in the midst of this pandemic and unprecedented situation, both from the health, public health perspective, but also from the economic and global economy. So a great shout out to your team. And certainly I guess the good thing here is that we, with 50 offices all across the United States, we are able, the consular network, to keep working in promoting Mexico and promoting the importance of the North American integration. So just with that, I want to thank you again, and all the people that follow this webinar, this webcast in the transmission. And again, thank you, Minister Alameda. Please join us your final comments, please.
Thank you, Consul Alfonso Navarro. My final comments is summarized in the following. We are very lucky to have the USMCA, especially on this context that we are facing with the pandemic, the world economic crisis, the multilateral trade system in crisis as well. We have to use the USMCA in order to overcome the situation, in order to continue growing, continue developing ourselves, continue integrating the three economies, strengthening the value chains, the supply chains, and the USMCA offers a lot of opportunities. So we invite you to continue working and doing business with us, with Mexico. Please contact us, and we will be very happy to assist you. And in the coming weeks, we're going to organize another webinar like this one with specific opportunities in the sectors and products and supply chains that we are identifying, and will be very interested for you to know. Thank you very much again. Gracias.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Minister Gerardo Alameda. Muchas gracias, Ministro Gerardo Alameda y a su equipo. And with that, we come to the end of this webinar. Thank you, all of you that follow this transmission. We will keep you posted regarding the future of USMCA, what Mexico is doing to strengthening our relation, both nationally, but particularly locally and regionally. And as Minister Alameda mentioned, we will be producing additional information to keep you informed, to keep you abreast of the new developments, and particularly the new opportunities arising from our North American partnership. Thank you so much. Thank you, and have a great day. Keep healthy and have a great day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hasta luego. Gracias.